Yet another opportunity for me on behalf of the Linguistics and Translation Department of Prince Sultan University to welcome you all to the third forum on teaching English writing in higher education. And as usual, just a few housekeeping matters to share with you. First of all, of course, we would like to hear from all the attendees of our forum. Please share your questions in the chat box. The speakers would be happy to answer all of them at the end of their presentations. Also, please share your opinion about the forum on our Twitter account at LTD_PSU and using the forum hashtag TEWHEF_2023. The account and the hashtag will be posted for you in the chat box. So, without further ado, we have the welcoming word from Dr. Alia Mitchell from Prince Sultan University. She has 25 years of teaching experience, and she has won Education First Teaching Excellence Award 2020 in Saudi Arabia. She is a Higher Education Academy Principal Fellow and a TESOL CAP and NCAA Accreditation Reviewer. At Prince Sultan University, Dr. Alia is the Vice Dean of the College of Humanities and Sciences and Director of the Teaching and Learning Center. As director of the TLC, she is responsible for providing professional development opportunities for faculty members, students, and administrative staff, including sessions on how to make the curriculum green. Dr. Mitchell has predominantly taught English as a second or foreign language, TEFL, and linguistics courses. She is involved in her field of specialization via different associations, such as TESOL International, TESOL Arabia, TESOL Greece, and AAAL. In the past, she was the Riyadh chapter representative for KSAL TESOL. She is also a member of the American Evaluation Association. Dr. Alia recently presented on a panel at the THE Digital University's MENA region about how to create more effective, student-centered digital learning experiences. In that regard, she has attended and presented in numerous sessions at conferences both locally and internationally, held in various places throughout the world, such as Hong Kong, Greece, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Oman, Canada, and the USA. Dr. Alia, you are most welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Yulia. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and greetings to all. I am pleased to welcome you to the third forum on teaching writing in higher education, offered by the Linguistics and Translation Department from the College of Humanities and Sciences at Prince Sultan University. The two themes of this forum delve into artificial intelligence in teaching writing and writing pedagogy and assessment. I think we can all agree that writing is considered one of the most important skills needed in higher education for accomplishing educational goals. For example, when a writing process is used to teach writing, students begin to understand writing as a form of communication. We can recognize that writing helps students also recognize that they have opinions, ideas, and thoughts that are worth sharing with the world, and writing is an effective way of getting them out there. In particular, academic writing is a formal style of writing used in universities and scholarly publications and helps our students to grow in that regard. You'll encounter it in journal articles and books on academic topics, and you'll be expected to write your essays, research papers, and dissertation in academic style. This forum provides an opportunity to share ideas in this regard. And as we move more and more into the digital era, this forum will also provide some insights into using AI and writing pedagogies and practices. I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ali Al-Houri, who will be speaking about ChatGPT and corrective feedback, reshaping language learning. Lastly, I would like to thank all of the presenters for taking time to be part of this forum today. A heartfelt thanks also goes to the organizers of this event and everyone who has made it happen. I wish you all a very successful forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have the second presenter with the welcoming word from our very own Dr. Dina Eldaks, who is the chair of the Linguistics and Translation Department and the leader of the Applied Linguistics Research Lab at the College of Humanities and Sciences at Prince Sultan University. Dr. Dina has extensive experience teaching and coordinating applied linguistics, translation, and TESOL programs. Her research interests are psycholinguistics, discourse analysis, pragmatics, and second language learning and teaching. Dr. Dina has several publications in flagship journals. Dr. Dina, we're happy to hear from you.
Thank you for the introduction, Ms. Yulia. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Greetings, everyone, from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. On behalf of the Linguistics and Translation Department at the College of Humanities and Sciences at Prince Sultan University, I welcome you all to the third forum on teaching English writing in higher education. I am delighted to see so many of you here today, representing a wealth of institutions, disciplines, and pedagogical expertise. This gathering is a testament to our shared commitment to excellence in writing education and our collective endeavor to empower students with the most crucial tools for academic and professional success, the ability to communicate effectively through writing. Writing is not merely a foundational academic skill, but an essential life skill. It is the bridge between thought and expression, between individual understanding and collective knowledge. As educators, we hold the torch that lights this bridge. The forum today is designed to not only share innovative strategies and insights, but also to challenge our assumptions and expand our understanding of writing as a multifaceted discipline. In today's forum, we discuss innovative strategies in writing pedagogy and assessment. We have also dedicated part of the forum to explore the integration of artificial intelligence in teaching writing. As you may have realized, the last part of my speech today was written by ChatGPT, which produced an excellent speech for me to deliver in this occasion in seconds. So many questions thus come to mind. How are we going to address this challenge? How can we best harness this technology for the benefits of our students? How are we going to address relevant ethical considerations? And can we really ensure that our students use this technology to improve their writing? Or are we going to end up with a generation who can only write prompts for AI tools? Well, I'll leave these questions for you to ponder, and we'll get back to the rest of my ChatGPT speech. I encourage you to engage fully throughout the day to ask questions, challenge ideas, and share your experiences. The knowledge we generate here is not just for our benefit, but for the countless students who will be influenced by our work. Thank you for your commitment to teaching, to writing, and to our students. Let us begin in a day of fruitful discussions, lasting collaborations, and inspirational learning. Welcome to the forum.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dina. So, as was stated previously, we and our wonderful speakers and presenters would be thrilled to hear questions from you, hopefully people-generated, not AI-generated. However, the topic we are about to discuss is definitely one of the hottest topics in teaching, and because the theme of our presentation is artificial intelligence at teaching writing, we are excited to hear from our keynote speaker, Dr. Ali Al-Khouri, who represents Saudi TESOL Association, and the title of the topic will be ChatGPT and Corrective Feedback, Reshaping Language Learning. Dr. Ali Al-Khouri is an associate professor of English. He completed his PhD in English language at the University of Nottingham under the supervision of Professor Zoltan Dorniel and Norbert Schmidt. He also holds an MA degree in social science data analysis from Essex University. His research interests include motivation theory, research methodology, and complexity. Dr. Ali, we're thrilled to have you here. The floor is yours.
Dr. Ali, would you like to share screen?
Yeah, thank you. Just let me share my screen. Just a second. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay, so thank you very much for having me today. It's such a great opportunity to talk about writing and ChatGPT. So let's get started. I'm going to start with a joke. It's not going to be an earth-shattering joke. It's not necessarily very, very funny, but there is a point in it that I would like to take on during this presentation. So a parent asks the teacher saying, "Why is my daughter still making mistakes with the third person singular S?" The teacher says, "But I have told her about the rule." Now, for any teacher saying that, you cannot expect to just tell somebody about the rule, for example, third person singular S, and they will just know that rule and apply it correctly in their writing. It's not like this. You don't just tell somebody. There is a lot more to, especially grammar learning, whether this particular rule or something else, than just telling somebody about the rule. So in 1996, there was this paper in a flagship journal, Language Learning, by John Truscott, the case against grammar correction in second language classes. And in this article, the author argued that correcting grammar, corrective feedback, especially for grammar, is ineffective. There are theoretical and practical reasons, and it is even harmful. So teachers need to avoid it. So can I check? Can you see my screen so far? Okay. Can you see the screenshot and everything before I continue?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So in this article, this author argued that correcting grammar in writing classes, not only is it ineffective, but also harmful. And as you can imagine, in the following TESOL convention, there were, debates about this paper, and, some people supporting it, some people rebutting it. And this paper has caused a lot of controversy. So what is the argument? What led Truscott to make this bold argument when it comes to correcting grammar in language learning? Let's have a look at some of his points. So he said, when students are told not to write something that sounds right to them, students do not eagerly throw away their intuitions and do things the writer's way. It's not like a matter of just telling them and they will just take up this information and apply it in their writing. And in fact, many students go on writing as they did before, or they just avoid that structure if they can and just problem solved. And so the advice that does not accord with students' intuition, again, is not likely to be followed, at least not in the long term. There are some studies, they may follow your advice and do this grammatical structure in a certain way, but 2 weeks later, they will go back to their old habits. Also, research done in first and second language learning that correction had little or no effect on students' writing ability. We'll come back to this a bit later. Regardless of, who the students were, how many mistakes were correcting, whether a few mistakes or many mistakes, which type of mistakes are being corrected, how detailed is the feedback given, in what form it is presented. It's so depressing, So there the teacher is saying, what am I supposed to do in the language class if this is this is true? So, and then follow-up testing showed that if they appear to learn something correctly based on this feedback, in a matter of months, this learning will disappear, and again, students will go back following their old habits. So, okay, now somebody might say, this means that it might be ineffective. Why harmful? Harmful is a much stronger adjective. Why would you claim that correcting feedback, giving feedback on grammatical errors in writing is harmful? Well, first, I'm still following Truscott's arguments here before I move on to what other people said. It's unpleasant. Very few people will enjoy that, red ink all over their writing, that they spent so much time, writing that piece of, essay or whatever, and see all this ink all over the place. Also, it's very demanding for the teacher to give detailed feedback on grammar and explaining things. You can either do it superficially, like, subject-verb agreement, or, whatever. But if you want to explain each and every mistake, it's a lot of, burden on the teacher. And any writing teacher would know that. It also absorbs the time and energy in the writing class. So it takes time from focusing on something else, like organization, content, flow of ideas, organization, etc., etc. And eventually, students, when they know that they are going to be corrected on grammar, they tend to avoid complexity and just make simple sentences to make sure that they are writing, grammatically correct sentences. So the problem is the simplistic view of learning that is just a transfer of information. Okay, so there is a problem with possessives. You just add apostrophe S, you do it this way, you just tell the learner that you do it this way, and then this simplistic view of learning is problematic because learning grammar is a gradual process, not a sudden discovery. Oh, you add apostrophe S. I didn't know that. Next time I will do it. It's not as simple as this, okay? And these arguments do not apply to other areas in writing, like content organization, clarity, flow of ideas, etc., mechanics, etc., in writing. And content-oriented feedback, some research shows that it is superior. So these are, a summary of some of Truscott's arguments, but in a recent paper in one of the flagship journals, they did a meta-analysis on the effectiveness of corrective feedback, and the results show that written corrective feedback can lead to greater grammatical accuracy, contrary to the arguments we just saw. Now, let's look at the results. Let's look more closely. Before we take things at face value, things are always more complex than they appear at first. These are the results, a summary of the result. This is a funnel plot used in meta-analysis. And just briefly, this is 0 means no effect. And these two lines means that if something is outside these lines, they kind of an outliers, we need to be careful about them. We tend to focus on what's inside, and this is the average. So the average is kind of 0.5, which is a reasonably moderate effect size. But this middle line is still affected by these two kind of outlying studies. Each one is a study or a finding. And if we remove these two, this line will probably go a bit closer to 0. Okay. Now, let's look at Truscott's comment on this study. So Truscott wrote a paper, the efficacy of written corrective feedback, a critique for meta-analysis. And he said 3 studies that carry most of the weight for the favorable conclusion are essentially the same experiment. So I'm going to go back. So these studies are kind of the same experiment anyway. So when you look at it this way and you look at this only, it becomes less impressive. An experiment which is too narrow and specialized to support any general conclusions on the value of correction anyway. And what about the other studies, moderately large effect sizes? In one of them, the effect disappeared within 2 weeks. That's not very impressive. And the other was not a study of second language learning anyway. So if we go back, even these 2 studies, there is a question mark. So if we exclude these and we look at this only, this line is probably going to come closer to 0 anyway. So that's not impressive if you look at the details. So I'm not saying you should, take this side or that side. The jury is still out. There is a lot of controversy. And if there is one thing you could learn from all this controversy is that teaching grammar in a writing class is not as straightforward as just, explaining, giving them some feedback, and students will learn automatically. There's still debate going on. There are still meta-analyses appearing all the time. But one thing that we need to keep in mind, using Ising's words, is that a meta-analysis sometimes is a mass of reports, good, bad, and indifferent, are fed into the computer in the hope that people will cease caring about the quality of the material. So it's good to be skeptical than credulous. So let's look at some theoretical explanations as to why this might be the case. So this is an early study by Stephen Krashen about the monitor model presented at the TESOL convention 77. And in this paper, he argued for something called the natural order. If you can see it here. In this small-scale study, he found that there is some sort of an order for grammatical development that second language learners go through, like copula, and then auxiliary, then irregular past, possessive pronouns. It's kind of some kind of progression that's through. It's not haphazard. And in more recent formulations of this order, students start learning some simple ing, plural s, copula b, and then they go to auxiliaries and articles, and then they go to irregular verbs, and then more advanced stages. So let's look at this rough order more closely, and the order I'm going to present is probably going to ring true to many people who teach writing or grammar more generally. So generally in second language, English as a second language or foreign language, learners first learn the ing form. It's very simple. They also learn the s, the plural s. It's very simple. They learn the prepositions. It's kind of basics. Then at some point they start to learn the past. Kind of many students still use the present tense when they talk about the past. It's kind of more challenging. Then they start to learn irregular past and the third person singular. This is very tricky, even for kind of advanced learners. And then the articles is very tricky. How many advanced learners miss these articles because it's kind of more difficult, relatively speaking, to the other ones. And possessives also. And then even more challenging, like past progressive and, perfect aspect, and, auxiliaries like would have and could have and other, stuff. So for any language teacher, more or less this makes some sense. There are some grammatical structures that are relatively easy, and there are things that are harder. And if you look at any grammar textbook, you will see that these difficult constructions tend to be later in the course, while the simpler ones are earlier on, presented earlier on. But as I said, this is very rough. And there are many factors that come to play. The age of the learner plays a role. Their first language will play a role. Their exposure, they might be exposed a lot to possessives, for example, and so they may master it more quickly. Learning rates vary. Some learners will speed through this. Some learners will not. So learners have their own different developmental trajectories. It's non-linear. They may spend a long time on, say, stage 4. I'm calling it stage just, for demonstration, but it's more complex. This is very rough. I just emphasize this is very rough for demonstration purposes. Some students will spend more time on this. Some students will spend more time on that. There will be fluctuations and lapses. Somebody you expect, at this stage will still happen to make mistakes with past tense. It's just, there are lapses. It's just very complex. So just telling somebody about the rule is a very simplistic way of teaching grammar. It's not about simple transfer. It's not about practice, because the learners may not be ready. It's not about the learner is lazy that they don't practice enough. It's not that they practice, but they are not practicing the right way. Maybe they are not ready. Their developmental trajectory, they should be focusing on something else. Now, this presents a problem. An average teacher will have 30 students in the class. And each of these students, and we go back, and each of these students will be in a different stage in this trajectory. And each individual learner will need a different type of feedback. If it's ever going to be effective, it will need to be, tailored to this trajectory. So before you can give this feedback, you need to know the student and analyze their errors and their development in order to start thinking about how to give them this individualized feedback. And this is where artificial intelligence might help. So, as I said, your best bet, and feedback should be individualized. Just generic feedback, lecture style is not going to be of much help. And it should be suitable to the learner's level, whether they are ready to get this feedback. This is the best bet. If this doesn't work, I don't know what is. I don't know. Maybe we should, focus on something else, not the grammar feedback, corrective feedback. So, Edit GPT. This is a tool, a free tool, that you can go to editgpt.app, click on get the extension, and you get it completely free. When you click on this, you go to get, and once you click get, it will become, you will find it in your Chrome browser or Edge browser, or whatever. You will find it there. Let's have a demonstration of this tool. So this is a recent paper that we wrote for language teaching recently. It's a prestigious journal, written by 8 people. I think half of them are native speakers, and from different countries. There are, Saudi Arabia, UK, USA. Some people have Spanish background, Japanese background, Chinese background. It's just all over the place. They are here. Wrote this paper, published in a prestigious journal. So you would think the writing should be, academic and reasonably good, at least, it's just an academic paper. So, I have to make sure to say that I picked this paper at random just for demonstration. There's nothing unusual about this paper. I just, looked at my profile, picked one and for demonstration. Nothing special about this paper. So what I did was I copied this paragraph, this introductory paragraph, and input it into ChatGPT and asked it to improve this paragraph. Remember, this is a published paragraph in a prestigious journal written by a bunch of academics. Let's see what ChatGPT said. So improve this text, mark your changes in bold. I want to see what changes you make. So this invited colloquium, etc., etc. Let's look at what it said. This invited colloquium, at first I was surprised, like, why did you make this bit bold? Is there a mistake? Did we miss something in the paper? It's nothing. Why did you highlight this? I spent a few seconds going back and forth, wondering why ChatGPT highlighted this part. Again, think of yourself as a student, how confused you are going to be. Organized by Xiaofeng Li. I'm sure we didn't misspell the author's name, one of the author's name. I mean, Florida State University, USA. Florida State University, USA. Why did you highlight this part? If I was a student asking you to, improve my text and mark your changes in bold, I would be very confused and frustrated. And Matthew T. Pryor, Arizona State University, USA. Again, why are these false positives? ChatGPT, what's wrong with you? Took place on March 20th, 2023. So 20th of March, 2023. Okay, so you changed something. It's not really a mistake. That's more like an American style, but okay. At the annual meeting of the American Association, so many false positives. There's nothing here. And then when you go there and generate fresh insights to both practice and theory, you go here, generate new insights, okay, to provide a platform for to discuss. Sometimes when you go here, it's kind of not obvious what change was made. The pioneering academic venue brings me the topic of, because the longer you go, the lines are not aligned. So it kind of becomes difficult to tell which words are changed. Very frustrating, especially for language learners. So what change did you make? Why did you make it? So as you can see here, there is Edit GPT. This will show up. It's again free of charge. You can use it with ChatGPT 3.5, which is the free version also. Once you install the plugin in your browser, it will just appear here. There's nothing else to do. And once you click on this button, we find this. So it will automatically do this. It's a 17 if your passage has been changed, has been rewritten. This is the additional thing. So no false positives here. Now it tells you, okay, so 20th was changed to here. It's clear what change has been done. More straightforward. The colloquium was to foster innovation. Okay, it's kind of research. Enhance strengthening methodological rigor, generate new fresh insights for both practice and theory. Okay, both. Okay, nice to have both in this sentence. And so it removes this part, development. So, okay. Recognizing, this is a new word that we didn't use, that innovation in research takes various forms. The curriculum aimed to provide a platform for discussing. Okay, interesting. So it's very clear what changes have been made. So if you were a language learner now, you can tell immediately what changes have been made, which wasn't really obvious when you were using, let's say, the raw ChatGPT version without this plugin. And when you copy this text and paste it into Word, it's like track changes, literally track changes that you can click on something and accept or reject. Literally, just copy, paste into Word, accept the changes you want to accept, reject the changes that you want to reject. Very simple. Let's have another demonstration. So this is a text, an example. Just
Dr. Ali,
yes.
I'm really sorry. You have about 5 minutes left.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, 5 minutes is enough. Okay. Let's have a quick look at this paragraph written by a student. Yesterday, I meet. So we have problem with past tense. My friend at the park, she bring. Again, we have a problem with past tense. Her dog, a big brown one, and we played. Okay, so it's kind of fluctuates. Sometimes past tense, sometimes present tense. Her dog ran. Again, run really fast, but I run faster. Again. So we played. Again, we have it's correct with the frisbee, and her dog catch it every time. I think it was a fun day. Then we decide to go to ice cream. Again, we have problem with articles. Shop. I like the chocolate ice cream. She likes vanilla. We enjoyed our ice creams. After that, we go again. Problem to the library to return John book. Again, we have a problem with possessives. But I forgot my book at home. John's book, again, it's correct, was really interesting. I think, again, we have a run-on sentence. I think he's a good writer, so I borrowed a book from the library, a book about English. Okay. Now, again, for demonstration, I inputted this text into ChatGPT and gave it the same prompt. Proofread and improve this text. Mark your changes in bold. Yesterday I met. Okay, so it corrected the past tense. She brought. Okay, she brought. Then here, then we decided to go to an ice cream shop. Why did it make the ice cream shop in bold? A learner will be very confused here because this mistake was with the A. It should be an, but ChatGPT highlighted or marked in bold the wrong part of the sentence. Why did you highlight this part and not the an? It just doesn't make sense. Imagine how confused the language learner is going to be when they use ChatGPT. I like chocolate ice cream. Wow, what's wrong with chocolate ice cream? If we go to the text, the should be removed. It's not clear that that was removed. It's so confusing. So again, you know, John's book was truly interesting. I believe the whole thing, John's book was really interesting. I think so. It made the whole thing in bold, which is, again, why would John's book is right here. Okay, John's book, there's a possessive missing here, so you made it in bold. Why did you make John's book here in bold also? So different mistakes is overwhelming to the learner. Mistakes are always not always clear, especially when there is a word should be removed. Sometimes the whole sentence is made in bold. So it's not a learner or a user friendly. So let's look at edit GPT. So now meet, okay, it's clear, bring, decided to go to an ice cream. That's very clear. You have an ice cream shop. The chocolate ice cream, you remove the. It's very clear. John's book was truly interesting. You see, just truly interesting was changed. So you can decide whether you want to replace really with truly. Here, truly interesting. It was originally really interesting. So it's clear what change was made, and then you decide. So here you can ask the learner to focus on one level. You can analyze the learner's trajectory and what level they are ready, and you ask them, you see here, rewrite this text as is. How clear do you want it to be? Correct only past tense errors. Let's imagine that the learner needs to develop their past tense problems only. It still corrected everything. Still corrected everything. You know, borrowed, it corrected the mechanics, it's corrected the articles. So Jones' book, possessive. So it's still, even though you ask ChatGPT to correct only past tense errors, it still corrected everything. So still, you pick one stage in the developmental trajectory of the learner and ask them to input their writing ChatGPT. And you ask them, ChatGPT is going to correct everything, ignore everything except for, say, articles or past tense. And they need exposure. Go and read. If you think that writing can be improved by practicing writing and not exposure to read through reading, for example, it's a big mistake. Students need to read and exposure to the language in addition to practicing writing. So does this tool help learners? It's a very new tool. Is the effect long-term? I don't know. We need research. We need empirical research. So if you are interested in artificial intelligence and you're looking for a topic to do research on, this is a new tool. It's open, waiting for empirical research to be done. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. So I'm sure those who are interested in future collaboration or have further questions can capture the screen with the address, so you can contact Dr. Ali Al-Houri later. Dr. Ali, we don't have much time for questions. However, there is one from our audience. Dr. Ali Mitchell is asking if you have spotted many significant differences between ChatGPT and Grammarly in terms of the tool for editing writing.
This tool is kind of promoted as the next step after Grammarly. I think different people will have different styles, but it's, this, one of the advantages of these tools are they are free. You don't expect, teenage learners to afford, all of them to afford subscription to Grammarly or some other devices or subscriptions. But these are at least free tools. They are effective. And some people say it's even better than Grammarly, but it's an arms race. If today it's better than Grammarly, tomorrow Grammarly is going to improve. They are not going to sit and watch, of course. So it's an arms race. So you can't expect to predict what will happen in the future.
Would there be a situation where you would advise against using AI in writing? I mean, of course, the debate is about the credibility and the sense of ownership and agency in the writers if they rely on AI too much. Where would you draw the line?
Well, first, using ChatGPT to proofread your writing, especially if you are a learner, you want to learn, it's perfectly fine. Even if you go to academic journals and you read their guidelines about the use of ChatGPT in academic writing, you have a long list of instructions at the end, and at the end they say all this doesn't apply to proofreading. It's proofreading. There is no no ownership or authorship or anything related to just proofreading or grammatical mistakes. This is the first part. The second part, things are going to evolve in the next, I don't know, decade or something. I think that writing first drafts is going to be kind of, old-fashioned, let's say. You get the first draft from AI, you just give it some points and you get it, and then you edit and customize the content, the text generated by ChatGPT. I think this is where we are going. People will start to wonder, why should I write, 20-page essay from scratch when I can ask ChatGPT to provide it for me? Then I edit it and change it the way I want it to be. So I think many people will tend to go to that direction in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for this enlightening and timely, highly informative talk. Again, all the questions from the attendees can be forwarded to Dr. Ali Al-Khouri personally. Thank you very much for being with us. We look forward to having you as a part of our presenters group in our future symposia or conferences or webinars. Thank you very much. We would like to now get to our next speaker with the demo presentation. This will be Dr. Khulud Al-Akawi from Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Saud University from Saudi Arabia. And just before we give the floor to Dr. Khulud, I would like to remind everyone that the chat box is the place where you can post your questions to our speakers. And we will also be posting the link for you to follow and share your opinion on social media about our forum. So without further ado, Dr. Khulud Al-Akawi, who is an associate professor at Al-Imam University, specializing in curricula and English language instruction, is a trainer of teachers in Egypt, USA, Oman, and KSA, and she has worked in the field of university quality assurance and academic counseling for a long time. Dr. Khulud was also a scholar to Atlanta and Washington in the USA and had many reputable published research in EFL field. Today's presentation's title is Towards Modernizing Education, ChatGPT and the Teaching of Writing at Saudi Universities, Challenges and Solutions. Dr. Khulud, you have about 25 minutes, and if need be, I will remind you of the time. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're happy to hear you speak. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your words. Do you hear me first? Do you hear me?
Very well, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. Thank you for your introduction. And good morning, everybody. In fact, it gives me a real pleasure to participate in any conference in Prince Sultan University because I have many friends there that used to be with me in different conferences. Thank you very much for your words, and I'm happy to be here today. Now let's focus on the theme that attracts the attention of many academic people who have hands-on in the field. Today's session will focus on 3 elements. Number 1, what is ChatGPT? Number 2, and this is the most important part, how to use ChatGPT in essay writing classroom. And number 3, challenges of using ChatGPT and how to overcome them. Now let's come to the first element, which is what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT refers to an artificial intelligence language model. It is designed to generate human-like text responses based on given prompts or inputs. ChatGPT, generative pre-trained transformer. It is an artificial intelligence language tool developed by artificial intelligence that utilizes machine learning algorithms to generate text that closely mimics human language. In fact, we live in the era of technology. We cannot hide. So it's better to think of a way to use this technology to help us as learners and instructors. It's a must now to think of how to modernize our teaching to cope with this evading technology. Teachers need to think that writing in the near future is going to be a collaboration between students and artificial intelligence programs such as ChatGPT. Thus, modernizing the method of teaching is a must, as even the writing related skills will differ and vary. So here, the teacher of writing or instructor of writing should introduce ChatGPT to the students and clarify its capabilities as an artificial intelligent language model. The instructor of writing should explain the purpose of using ChatGPT as a tool to assess the essay writing process. Discuss the topic of the essay with the learners. Encourage them to use ChatGPT to generate initial ideas and conduct consultation sessions with them. Since we are going to conduct consultation sessions, there should be another tool to help us to use ChatGPT successfully. And the one that I used with my students was Flipped Classroom. So I integrated ChatGPT and Flipped Classroom, and I'll show you how. The writing instructor guides the student to connect with ChatGPT to explore different perspectives and collect relevant information. So we are not going to hide. We are not going to think that the students will not be able to use it if we don't tell them not to use it. They are going to use it even behind our backs, and there will be copying and pasting. So the idea now is how to use it effectively, how to train the students to use it effectively in the writing classes and even outside the writing classes in the Flipped Classroom uh, handouts, videos, presentations that they studied the night before. I'll clarify how. The writing teacher should guide students in organizing their thoughts and detailing the structure of the essay. Use ChatGPT as a source to improve and to refine the infrastructure of the article by looking for suggestions on the sequence of information and directions for supporting arguments. Have students write drafts of the article independently. And they are going to keep their drafts before using ChatGPT and while using ChatGPT, and also after using ChatGPT as a final draft in an electronic portfolio. And the portfolio is the third element that I use with my students. So I use ChatGPT and I use the Flipped Classroom and I use the electronic portfolio with my writing students in the writing course. Urge the students to use ChatGPT to refine the language because they get a model, suggest the vocabulary, and improve sentence structure only. Use ChatGPT to provide feedback on students' essay. So it is not only getting model as a response from ChatGPT when we feed it with certain prompts and keywords, and we ask in the prompts for help. No, we can use it for another thing, which is correction and feedback. ChatGPT can be used both ways. So all the time, the students will be using ChatGPT, but in a different way not copying and pasting, because copying and pasting information is prohibited in such writing class that I suggest. Since we are talking about how to use ChatGPT in essay writing classroom, remember as a teacher to organize peer review sessions as where students exchange drafts of their essays and provide contrastive feedback to each other. So it's not only the feedback of ChatGPT, it's all, but also the feedback of the students. We develop the critical thinking of the students. We train them to use ChatGPT in a different way, tactfully, and have the student discuss the role of ChatGPT in the writing process and how it affected their essays. Remind students that they should remain owners of the writing and critically evaluate ChatGPT's suggestions, not to take them blindly and apply them. They should sit together in their group and think of how they can use this model produced by ChatGPT, and also think of the suggestions ChatGPT offers them. Assess the student's ability to effectively incorporate ChatGPT help while maintaining the writing style and voice. Use ChatGPT to help students understand concepts, explore different perspectives, not to take what was given to them blindly, because frankly speaking, I noticed that there are some sort of bias against some words. For example, when I use Islam, I noticed that they connect it with terrorism. So here, the students are not going to use what is given to them blindly. They should think and defend their opinion and know how to proceed from one idea to the other, effectively supporting their own ideas. Discuss the importance of the responsible use of ChatGPT, including pointing out artificial intelligence generated content and avoiding plagiarism. In my writing classes, I integrate ChatGPT into the essay writing flipped classroom, as I mentioned earlier. One of the advantages of using ChatGPT in my writing classes is improving the quality of students' writing. On the other hand, its negative aspects, such as plagiarism and false information, can be avoided by two elements. Number one, training that's taking place all the time. And number two, ethical practice. Hence, there are keywords to face the challenges. Interactive and collaborative learning environment in the writing class. To scaffold EFL learning can be implemented in the flipped classroom, which adopts ChatGPT. Remember, when interacting with ChatGPT, ask specific questions to receive more targeted and relevant responses. Don't write general questions, because you will receive different irrelevant responses. So the students should be trained to use ChatGPT tactfully to write specific questions. And instead of asking for complete paragraphs, as what students usually do, break down the questions into specific subtopics. This approach helps to gather information and ideas that can further be developed in one's or in students' own words. Remember, point 2, once students receive response from ChatGPT, they are asked to analyze the information, not to take it blindly and change few words and send it to the teacher as being their own. No. In their groups, because the teacher is going to divide the class into groups. And this group will be responsible for having certain ideas from ChatGPT, getting a model, analyzing the information provided, identify the key points and the arguments or insights that are relevant to the topic. Then they synthesize this information with their knowledge, the knowledge that they have, their background knowledge about the topic, to form their own unique perspectives. Now let's come to the step of how to use ChatGPT as a program. Teacher should clarify to the student in the class that they can access ChatGPT on https openai.com on the browser. They can get it also as an application from their Play Store, but usually it is paid. There is one free ChatGPT application that is free, which is 3.5, but we have now ChatGPT 4. Students will be asked to log in before using ChatGPT. If they don't have an account, they can register via email or Google or Microsoft account. So they should have an account first, and they can use their Gmail account to register. My students did that inside the classroom. After logging in, they enter a question or they enter a statement in the conversation box provided by the application itself. Next, they press send it. ChatGPT will respond and the answer appears quickly. As I clarified earlier that I integrate ChatGPT in my flipped classroom. Flipped classrooms are one of the several trends currently revolutionizing the way students are taught by assessing lesson material to be studied at home via recorded lecture videos, slideshow presentations, guided reading, handouts. All these can be sent by the teachers to the students, and the students watch the videos, read and study the presentation and see what the teacher sent them a night before they come to the class. And the class time will be for reflection, for analyzing, for training. The writing classroom now, in this flipped classroom that is using ChatGPT, will be a sort of a training session. It will not be writing in the traditional way. It will be a training class for using ChatGPT and using what was sent by the teacher to the student to be discussed in the classroom and to be used in the classroom and be a source of reflection in the classroom. This way, teachers are helping students learn at their pace that is right for them. Because when as a writing teacher, I send handouts to my students, one will understand it, grasp what was written immediately. Another will take half an hour or an hour or 2 hours. And one will listen to the audio that I sent, understand it quickly. The other one might need more time. So by using the flipped classroom and sending the recorded lecture videos or presentation or guided readings or handouts, The student will read, listen, understand, and then come to the classroom to discuss all that with the teacher and be trained to use it in the writing classroom. Advantages to overcome challenges. Because what I'm suggesting now is my power to face the challenges of using ChatGPT, which is usually used for copying and pasting, and this is forbidden. They will never be writers this way. So the flipped classroom model allows teachers to assign content to be learned and reviewed at home. Example, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and here, handouts. Handouts of what in writing classroom? Handout of how to write introduction, another handout how to write the body of the essay writing, and a third handout about conclusion and how to write it, another handout or a video, our essay video sent by the teacher to show how to write thesis statement and how to use supporting details and how to end with a conclusion and how to move from one paragraph to the other and how to use the conjunctions to join between sentences. All that can be used in the flipped classroom, given to the student to grasp at their own pace, and then come to the class next day to discuss with the teacher, reflect on that, train on using ChatGPT to write their own essay. Spend less time engaging student in individual or group activity where they can practice and apply concepts like the ones they studied the night before. Make sure there is a room for you and your student to move around, to interact, collaborate with one another and with the teacher. The teacher here is not passive at all. The teacher here is a dynamo. She's using technology to improve her student in writing and critical thinking, and also as human beings who have ideas, who modify their concepts of different issues. My third element is the student's portfolio. The portfolio should include names of the group, as I clarified earlier, that the students are going to work in groups. So the names of each group members should be written. And of course, as you know, the teacher at the beginning of the writing semester is going to divide them into groups and assign rules for each one in the group. One will be the reporter, one will be the writer, one will be the writer of the ideas of the group, of course, and another will be the speaker of the group when they discuss. And of course, the outcome of the draft will be the ideas and the work and the outcome of the whole group. So they all must have hands-on, and the teacher should make you sure that everyone is participating. That is why number 3 is their list of student Google link where they work collaboratively, so that the teacher can watch even when they work at home and know what they are doing together in order to grow professionally. Samples of their first and also of their final drafts after using ChatGPT will be included, so that the student can detect their first draft before using ChatGPT, and then the model of ChatGPT, and then their final draft after using ChatGPT. So they detect all that, and this helps them to improve. And this happened with my class. Finally, they should use PowerPoint of their final draft to clarify in the essay their ideas, talk about it, convince the others. It's not a kind of traditional writing class. In this very specific class, there is growing of interests, ideas, growing of individuals' personalities, and critical thinking skills. There is improvement on different bases. Final reminder, by adopting ChatGPT, which is my first element, by adopting ChatGPT tactfully in the flipped classroom, which is my second element, ending with writing portfolio, which is my third element, we as educators can overcome the challenges of plagiarism and over reliance on technology as copying and pasting. Moreover, we adopt ChatGPT in an ethical and creative way. There is a need to understand ChatGPT's role as an aid and as a facilitator for both the learners and instructors. Chatbots are relatively beneficial devices to facilitate, create ease, and support the academic writing process. While the use of artificial intelligence in higher education presents both opportunities and also challenges, universities can effectively address these concerns by taking a proactive and ethical approach to the use of the suggested tools for teaching writing, as clarified in today's session, using ChatGPT in a flipped classroom, ending with the electronic portfolio to ensure academic integrity and originality.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Dr. Khulud.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Everybody, have a look at the screen, and you may want to write down or take a picture of Dr. Khulud's email if you would like to send her some questions or probably collaborate in the future. Dr. Khulud, I have a question. What tool do you use to grade the student submission and writing? For instance, we use Moodle, and Moodle has this built-in function of Turnitin, and Turnitin nowadays is equipped with the function of showing the percentage of
Exactly.
AI-generated text.
Yes.
Are you using something similar?
Yeah. I used a rubric. This rubric, part of it for mechanical skills, another part for grammar, a third part for paragraphy and ideas. This way, and it helps me to see their improvement, and of course the final outcome will clarify how they improved. The idea with ChatGPT is that the students are not going to write the same model written by Chat, produced by ChatGPT. They are going to rely on it as a reading model. And then they are going to have their own. They are going to paraphrase and they are going to change ideas if they don't agree with what was written, and they are going to use their own words. So the outcome will be different from what was produced by ChatGPT at the beginning, and it can be scored this way.
Thank you. We have a question from Mr. Zahid Hussein. How do you monitor your students whether they are following your instructions? For example, copying and pasting their writing on ChatGPT.
Number one, I clarify how to use ChatGPT in the way that I explained. Number two, I stress that copying and pasting from ChatGPT is forbidden. Number three, there is a training inside the classroom with me so that they got used to using ChatGPT as a reading model. And number four, they write their own essay and feed ChatGPT with it and ask for correction. In fact, I gave an essay about being an English teacher to my students and asked them to apply that using ChatGPT. And the student wrote, I want one page essay about being an English teacher. Then the ChatGPT provided them with 3 paragraph essay. The first one was about the ambition to be an English teacher. The second one was about the plan when they become English teachers. And the third one became paragraph focusing on self-confidence to be an English teacher. The student had this in their group, and then they decided to add another paragraph, to delete some parts, to change the words. They used it to generate ideas. They used it to know how they can move from one part of the other. And of course, with me as a writing instructor, I clarify how the introduction was written and ask them how many parts in the body was written and discuss it with them. And then I discuss, let's focus on the conclusion. How is it written? Where is the thesis statement in this paragraph? What are the supporting details? What are the conjunctions? The students began to interact, and then they produced another different version at the end that was completely different from what they produced at the beginning of the class.
What is the allowable percentage of AI detected sources?
The allowable is the one that doesn't show plagiarism clearly, and it clarifies that they did have their own ideas and they did use their own words and produce a different one. With more research, I can give a certain percentage.
Mm-hmm. And how much, what is the weight of grammar in your rubric?
Well, grammar I use for checking of grammar, Grammarly, and the student use that to check their grammar. Yes, ChatGPT corrects grammar also, but they use Grammarly more to correct their essays, and they also pay attention to what was suggested by ChatGPT in order to correct certain sentences or verbs or whatever. So both techniques are used to check their grammar mistakes.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Khaloud. Thank you for an interesting and timely talk. And everybody who has further questions can address them to Dr. Khaloud via the email that she has kindly posted on the screen.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and paying attention to me. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. On behalf of the Linguistic and Translation Department at Prince Sultan University, I would like to welcome you all to the third forum on teaching English writing in higher education. My name is Rawan Shaban, and I'm a lecturer in the Linguistics and Translation Department at PSU. I will be your host for the next 2 hours. Before we start the sessions, I would like to share some housekeeping matters. First, for the attendees, please share your questions with the speakers in the chat box so that I can address your questions at the end of each session. Second, please share your opinion about the forum on our Twitter X account at LTD_PSU and using the forum hashtag. The account and hashtag are written for you in the chat box. As for the speakers, please note that you have 25 minutes for your demonstrations and we need to stick to the time. I will alert you 5 minutes before the end of the time. Then I will read you the attendees' questions. Now we will start our first session with Professor Hala Dalbani. Professor Hala Dalbani is Dr. Hala Dalbani University. Her principal research interests include language learning and teaching and technology-assisted pedagogies. She has extensive experience in teaching linguistics and translation courses in several Arab universities in traditional distance and virtual learning environments. She has been awarded Prince Sultan University's Rector Distinguished Teaching Award for the academic year 2017-2018 and the Best E-Learning Award for the academic year 2019-2020. The title of Professor Hala's presentation is Leveraging ChatGPT for Enhanced Research, Game-Changing Technique. Professor Hala, you may begin your session, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good morning, everyone. Can you hear me, Ms. Roman? Can you hear me?
Yes, Professor Hala, you are very clear.
Okay, and can you see my PowerPoint?
Not at the moment.
Okay, I think I guess I'll have to stop sharing and try again.
Yes, please.
How about now?
I guess it's coming. Yes, I can see it myself.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good morning again to everyone, and thanks for coming on a Saturday morning. I know it's a weekend, and we do appreciate your sparing your time to be with us on this morning. As Ms. Roman has introduced, my speech or my presentation is going to be about how we can use AI and specifically ChatGPT in teaching research writing. Now, I'm not so sure how many of you have taught research writing, but for those of us who have been through the experience, we know that students face the challenge. They find it rather challenging when they are asked to do research. They are overwhelmed, I feel, from my experience. They face the challenge of having to go through vast amounts of information and to structure and to prepare the research exercise. Now, with the ChatGPT now becoming a game changer, actually, with a simple prompt, students can now ask for guidance on narrowing their research topic, on developing a strong thesis statements, and even on refining the writing style. Now, AI becomes there and our virtual assistant. It is a great assistant. It provides feedback, suggests sources, and helps us to articulate complex ideas. Now, through this presentation, we are going to explore how we can use ChatGPT to transform a student's research journey from a daunting task into an engaging and enriching learning experience. Now, there are possible a number of uses that ChatGPT can assist us with and assist our students as they are learning to become better researchers. Now, UNESCO has, I found this in a UNESCO paper or an article, a paper published by UNESCO, where it shows how ChatGPT can assist in the 4 main stages of research, starting with the research design, to data collection, to data analysis, and to the final writing up stage. And I actually organized my presentation accordingly. Now, before we actually start showing students how they can make the best of ChatGPT in their research writing or in their research exercise, we need to give or teach them about the golden rules of using ChatGPT to make the best out of it. We have to be, we need to inform them about how important it is to follow these rules, because that will actually make the outcome much better. So they need to know that they have to be very specific when making a request via ChatGPT. Excuse me. They need to provide clear and concise instructions. We also need to help them learn how to break down complex requests. So if they need to ask about many things, it's not right to do all that in one go, to break it down into simpler, less and less requests. It helps to teach them that by giving ChatGPT an example, ChatGPT can produce a better response to a request. We also need to inform how to experiment with phrasing when they are designing or when they are writing a prompt, a request to GPT to try to rephrase it sometimes, because putting it in one way may not lead to the results that they want. We need to teach them how iteration and refinement, that don't settle for whatever ChatGPT gives you. Try to always iterate, ask for more, refine, and so on. And always ask ChatGPT to improve on the outcome, on the feedback that it gives you, to write it briefly, to write it more concisely, to write it more extensively, to write it as in a certain style, in a researcher's style, and so on. And also ask ChatGPT to specify also the format that you want the answer or the output to be in. And most important of all, you have to be very careful about this, that you need to inform them that not everything that ChatGPT says is right, that they have to validate all the time. They have to critically analyze anything that ChatGPT offers them. Now, we will walk through the stages. So we're going to start with how we can help students use ChatGPT in research design. So the first stage is idea exploration, brainstorming. It really helps. One of the most important stages and uses that I found with ChatGPT is that it helps you overcome the mental block, the writer's block. So always you can guide them to use it to brainstorm research ideas or to explore different angles on a certain topic. You can also advise them to use it to see what is the latest, what are the most up-to-date research topics in that specific area they are looking into, or on that specific topic they are interested in. What are the debates going on in that area? What are the research gaps in that area? You can also help them learn how to use ChatGPT to suggest relevant keywords and phrases to improve the search engine results. So if they are looking using Google Scholar or Google or whatever search engine they are using, they can refer back to ChatGPT to help them suggest more relevant, more accurate, more precise, and so on keywords and phrases. ChatGPT can also help researchers explore potential research questions, explore potential hypotheses and research directions. It can help them refine and clarify ideas, making it easier to set a clear research focus. It can help them formulate initial hypotheses. Now, again, when they are working on the literature review, ChatGPT can help identify common themes or trends and gaps in existing research or in the existing literature. It can help them summarize key points from relevant papers. Supposing they are they have many research papers to review before they start preparing their own literature review. ChatGPT can be very helpful here because it can help them summarize the abstracts. All they have to do is to copy and paste an abstract from a certain article into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize it in 2 lines. I think this will save them lots of reading of research papers that may end up to be irrelevant to their research. So this will save them time and will expedite the process of preparing the literature review. ChatGPT can recommend important works in a certain research area. I'm not so sure about this. If they are using the free version of ChatGPT, this is still not very reliable. We will come to that later on in the presentation. ChatGPT can help also explore research methodologies. Now they have prepared their literature review. They have narrowed down their topic, wrote their hypothesis, and they have done the literature review. Now coming to what is the best research methodology to use. So here they can consult GPT on insights into different methodologies and how suitable they are for their research objectives. It can suggest to them whether the quantitative, the qualitative, or the mixed method is better. It can also, supposing they get stuck and they are decided on a certain research methodology and they're finding that it is not very, it doesn't seem to be very helpful. So they can brainstorm also with GPT for potential solutions to alternative methodology if the one they've decided on is not working. In literature review also, it can help them, as we said, summarizing lengthy articles. It can help in synthesizing information. It can help them in concept clarification, just in case there are very complex concepts or theories and they cannot really understand. They can always put it on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to excuse me, to simplify, to write it for a 10-year-old, for example, to write the abstract or the theory for somebody who is much younger. And this way, ChatGPT will make it much, much simpler and easier for them to understand. They can also use ChatGPT for fact checking to verify facts or check the accuracy of information. But again, that is also questionable because, as we said, ChatGPT is not always reliable and does not always give accurate information. So they really do not need to have the knowledge in their area, the basic knowledge in their area, in the area where they are researching. Otherwise, they may end up with inaccurate information. Now, ChatGPT can also help them translate research papers. Supposing that the research paper is a bit too advanced and their linguistic, their English proficiency is not that advanced, they can always ask for a translation, and ChatGPT can always do that, or it can summarize and translate and summarize the translation too. Now, moving to the second, from research design to data collection. So we saw how they can use GPT to design in the design of the research. Now, how it can help in their data collection. Now, it can suggest for them data sources. So can assist them in generating ideas for data sources and collection methods. What is the best way? Where to get the data? What is the best collection method? It can recommend sources or surveys or experiments or interviews that align with the research goals. It can also recommend the tool that they can use for, or the platform. So it can recommend online survey platforms, data collection software, or data collection methodologies that best suit the research objectives and the audience. GPT can also help in designing surveys and questionnaires. My students loved this when they were doing research in a course I'm teaching this term. Actually, that was the best part of it. They were really concerned about how how to prepare the survey and their questionnaires. And ChatGPT came to the rescue. It offered suggestions for how to, for question wording, question sequencing, and response format to improve the quality of the data collected. It generated questions for research surveys. They started actually with ChatGPT to generate the questions and then reviewed the wording and the sequencing and the format. It also helped them in translating. I'll come to this in a minute. It also guided them to how to approach and select the target sample or the participants. What size, what sample, what is the ideal or the sample size that they can use, how many participants do they need, and what are the sampling techniques, and so on. And as I said, it helped them after my students prepared the survey and edited. ChatGPT helped them a lot in that. They then asked to translate it. They could have translated it via Google Translate, but they settled for GPT, and it was fine. Of course, they had to because they were dispatching the research surveys in Arabic, not in English. They wanted to eliminate any misinterpretation on the part of the participants, so they translated it, and they reviewed the translation to ensure the clarity and cultural appropriateness. Now, the third stage is data analysis, how GPT can help them in their data analysis. It can help by providing insights into what statistical tests to use, what hypothesis testing and assumptions to consider based on the research design and data set. It can also help them in interpreting statistical results. Once they get the results, they can feed the results into ChatGPT and request help in identifying patterns and relationships within the data sets that they have they came up with. It can help them also in data interpretation and inference. It can help make sense of data by providing explanations, insights, potential interpretations of findings, and helping in forming the hypothesis and conclusion. It can also help in it can help with basic statistical queries or data interpretation. For example, if GPT suggests that they have to use p-value in their statistical analysis and they don't know what p-value is, they can always go back to GPT to request further explanation on what is the significance of using p-value in data analysis. How does it serve their purpose and the objective of their research? It can also suggest quality control measures to ensure the reliability and accuracy of data analysis results. So once they get the results and they have used certain statistical tools, they can always go back and check how reliable and how accurate has that tool been. It can also assist in preparing data analysis reports and document the analytical process. Now we come to the last stage of research, of the research exercise, and is the writing up. And that is usually the hardest part. Now they have designed they know their objective, they have their hypothesis, they have their research questions, they have done their literature review and actually annotations, and they have decided on the statistical tools, the methodology first, the research methodology, the statistical tools, and so on. They have the results now, they need to write up. Now here comes the most important actually role here. It can actually draft sections of the research paper. It makes life much, much easier. It can generate an abstract. So if you feed into the GPT the content that you want, GPT can prepare your abstract. It can craft the introduction, it can craft the conclusion, and it can prepare a summary of your results and findings, and it can help you rewrite and restructure your methodology section in case that you were not clear, you were not actually confident that the way you have done it is correct. It can also refine your research questions. It can help create or structure the methodology section, as I mentioned earlier. It can help you in explaining the statistical analysis section, in generating the discussion points section, in addressing limitations, and of course, reviewing the whole paper for clarity and coherence. And most important actually is in the citation, because students really face lots of problems when they are preparing the list of references and doing the in-text citation. So ChatGPT can help in reviewing the citation style. So it can ensure that they have used, for example, supposing they have used APA, it can help ensure that they have used APA all through in the referencing and the in-text citations. It can help them reformat, supposing that they wanted to publish their research and they discovered that the publisher wants it in another style. So GPT can convert the references from one style to another in seconds.
Professor Hala?
Yes, yeah.
You have 2 minutes left.
Okay, so what ChatGPT? So we have mentioned all the nice things that ChatGPT can help with. What are the things that ChatGPT cannot help with? Of course, we have to make it very clear that it cannot conduct original research. Actually, it's an assistant. Please do remember that it's always an assistant and not because it cannot conduct original experiments or surveys or studies. It cannot access real-time, because it have no real-time internet access, it cannot access proprietary databases or subscription-based content. It cannot peer review. It cannot understand highly specialized fields. It cannot provide legal or ethical advice, and it cannot replace human collaboration. So always supplement GPT's assistance with thorough verification from reliable sources, and be careful remind you, any researcher using GPT, be careful that GPT fabricates references. It provides fabricated references that cannot adequately synthesize literature and tends to produce formulaic text. And it may also present inaccurate or incorrect information as accepted knowledge. So be very careful with that. And most important risk and implications of using AI or GPT in research is the question of originality. The risk of using tools such as GPT in the research process include the possibility that it will generate fake references, produce mediocre or insufficiently specific tests, and be subject to plagiarism. So always emphasize that always to students, and make sure that they are aware of that. Thank you very much. So hopefully I managed to convey to you some techniques, some ways by which you can use GPT or AI. You can use other tools, of course, in guiding students or walking your students through the research writing exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hala, for your insightful presentation. I do have a question for you from Dr. Zahid Hussein. He's asking, how reliable is ChatGPT data analytical skills? Can it be compared with software that are usually used in research, do you think?
I'm sorry, Dr. Zahid is the name?
Yeah.
I'm afraid I can't answer to that question. Yeah, I know it can do analysis of data. I've seen examples of that, but I'm not so sure how comparable it is to other statistical tools. I'm afraid I can't tell.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Hala. I have another question for you here. Interesting and informative session by Miss or Dr. Asma Al-Sahil. Thank you, Miss Asma. Were students allowed to use ChatGPT or GPT-generated texts? Are students allowed?
Actually,
allow students to use generated text by GPT?
Yes, I do allow them. Yeah, they are going to use it anyway, whether I allow it or not. So better use it under my surveillance and under my, because I can guide them there, depending on the task, actually. We use it, and we are lucky in the course we teach research writing. We have a lab session, so during the lab session, actually, I do request them that to consult after proposing or writing something, to check it via ChatGPT, and sometimes like the surveys. In the case of the surveys, actually, because they are short on time and they have to produce a research paper in one term. So we relied on ChatGPT in preparing certain sections like the survey. Yeah, we do. Yeah, but I always make sure that I ask them to validate and not to give any personal information. This is very important. I highlight this, that do not disclose any personal information about yourself. Don't write the name of the informants or the name of the university you are doing the research in, or any personal data not to be entered there, and to validate. Always double check, because as we said, ChatGPT can produce inaccurate and wrong information.
You mean not providing your personal information and your university inside the generator itself, the AI tool,
yeah.
Right?
When you feed a prompt, don't personalize it at all. Talk in general. Yeah, for example, I made them write because they are doing the research on university students at PSU. They are actually doing it on their colleagues. So I made sure that they don't write the name of the university, anything personal, anything about themselves or about the informants or about the context, not to include in the prompts that they feed into ChatGPT.
To the generator. Thank you very much. For further questions, everyone, Professor Hala's email is on the screen. Please, you may connect with her. Thank you very much, Professor Hala. I need to move into my next session right now. Into the next session, let me see. I have Dr. Rosalind Billy from Tennessee State University. Dr. Rosalind Billy's educational background consists of a BA in liberal arts with a concentration in philosophy and religion, and a master's degree in education in leadership and teaching with a concentration in TESOL and a PhD in curriculum and instruction. The title of Dr. Rosalind's presentation is ChatGPT-4 and Teaching Writing. We have a lot of presentations on ChatGPT today. Actually, let me see. Dr. Rosalind is not able to be with us today. Therefore, I'm going to have to play a recording of Dr. Billy's of her presentation. Just give me a minute and then I'll share the presentation with everyone. Okay, I hope everybody can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. It's by Dr. Rosalind and Dr. Carmen, Rosalind Billy and Dr. Carmen Medina. Okay.
Can you just full screen, please, Ms. Rawani?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do, actually. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. We will listen for Dr. Rosalind.
Sorry, Ms. Rawani, we cannot hear anything.
You can't?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Dr. Ali is telling you to share it as a Google window.
Okay, let me do that again then. How about now? Can you see it? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay. How about, can you hear?
No, we cannot hear it.
Okay. Let me try again then. Bismillah. Okay, let me try from my download. Okay. Can you hear it now? Just a minute. How about
Thank
now?
you, everyone, for listening to.
Yes, but you cannot see it.
You cannot see it.
Yes.
How about now? Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, just give it a moment and let me know if you can
Thank you,
hear it.
everyone, for listening to our
Can you hear it?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
presentation today. For Carmen and myself, we both appreciate you attending our presentation on ChatGPT-4 and teaching writing. The purpose of this presentation is to basically develop an understanding of ChatGPT-4 and how it can be utilized in the classroom.
Mr. Rawani, we cannot see or hear anything now.
To teach
We
writing.
can just get it back.
What we can do with
You cannot
ChatGPT-4
see or
in the
hear?
classroom.
No, we can
and
hear it. Yes, no, it's
for-
perfect. Leave it as it is, please.
to change the mindset. If we can't beat them, to join them, because most of our students are already aware of AI and
Okay.
chat
I
or
have no
all
idea where
these
the
AI
speed.
generated tools. So we might as well utilize these tools in the
Can you see it
classroom
now?
and
Yes,
have
leave
our
it, please.
students.
Please leave it as it is now.
Can you see and hear?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Just a moment. Bismillah. I'm gonna replay it, okay? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Bismillah. Okay, looks like there's no way I can.
It's no problem. No problem.
I can't do a full screen.
No problem.
Okay.
It's fine.
Let's hear it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to our presentation today. For Carmen and myself, we both appreciate you attending our presentation on ChatGPT-4 and teaching writing. The purpose of this presentation is to basically develop an understanding of ChatGPT-4 and how it can be utilized in the classroom, some additional AI helpers, some amazing aids and some hindrances to some of these AI generated tools that can be used to teach writing, what we can do with ChatGPT-4 in the classroom, and also some look-fors, and also some things like to change the mindset. If we can't beat them, to join them, because most of our students are already aware of AI and ChatGPT-4 and all these AI generated tools. So we might as well utilize these tools in the classroom and have our students use them with our instructional purposes and in our abilities to have them to be monitoring how they use those AI tools. Definitely November 30th, 2022 was a big date on the calendar. It definitely changed the way the classroom dynamics go when it comes to using technology in the classroom. The innovation of chat generative pre-trained transformers was one of the first programs released in 2022, November 30th, and it definitely changed the way how we use technology in the classroom, and will continue to change the way how we use technology in the classroom, especially with artificial intelligence making its way into every aspect of our daily lives. So AI can play a significant role in improving writing skills in higher education by providing students with personalized feedback, resources, and assistance. So our guided question for this presentation is, how can AI be used to enhance writing skills? So it's imperative now with the advancements in technology to really utilize AI in the classroom and use it in a positive light, and utilize it in a way that students can really benefit from it. Before I begin going through the slides for the presentation, I wanted to let you know that many AI-generated tools are going to be showed in these slides. I will try to highlight one or two of them to give you an idea of what they can do to enhance instruction, but you will see that there are so many of them that are listed we have here for you that you can take notes as we go to see which ones that might work, and explore them and see which ones may really work for you in the classroom. So here is a list of some writing tools that can be useful. The two that I'll highlight here would be the plagiarism detection and the automated grading. The plagiarism detection tool is an AI tool that can scan students' work for potential plagiarism, encouraging academic integrity and proper citation practices. This is very useful for the instructor to use to always check and see if who may be plagiarizing. And also, on the other hand, on the reverse side of this, students could use this to make sure to check that they are using citations correctly and they're not plagiarizing. Another tool mentioned here is the automatic grading. This allows instructors to use this AI instructional tool to streamline the grading process, especially for multiple choice questions, standardized tests, or essays with well-defined rubrics. Or it also frees up the time for more in-depth feedback from the instructor. So that way, if you have this automatic grading, it gives you more time to spend with your students and give them that personalized feedback that they really need when they're learning how to write. Next are AI-powered grammar and spelling check tools. Here, these tools focus on grammar and spelling. The two that I'm pulling out here that would be probably really useful in teaching writing, any of these are, but the two that I like to use and that I utilize a lot would be the Hemingway Editor, which focuses on improving the clarity and readability of the writing. It highlights complex sentences, adverbs, and passive voice, making your writing more straightforward and concise. So this is useful for non-native speakers to help them, or native speakers when we're teaching them writing skills, to make sure that their sentences are readable, they're using the complex sentences and adverbs and the passive voice. Another one would be the language tool. This also is an open source grammar and spelling checker that supports multiple languages. And it can be used online or as a browser extension. So you can add it as like a Google extension as well. So students can have this on their devices, and it supports the key element with the language tool is that it supports multiple languages. So even if you're not teaching English, you're teaching French or Spanish or German or any other language as well, this tool is useful for teaching writing in any language. It supports that, which is very, very good with writing. Here are AI tools to analyze and enhance the style of readability and overall clarity of a text. Here are some more tools that can possibly be used to do this. These are also very helpful, especially StyleWriter and BlickWrite. Those are also useful tools to utilize in teaching writing at the higher level and even at high school and middle school levels too. It can be adaptable. Next, we can take a look at some AI tools for vocabulary enhancement. These tools are excellent vocabulary building tools. The two that I would like to highlight would be WordTune, which is an AI-powered writing assistant that provides real-time suggestions to enhance your vocabulary and style. It can help you find better words and phrases to express ideas. Also, Thesaurus.com is, that's an oldie but a goodie. It is an online thesaurus that offers a vast selection of synonyms and antonyms to enrich your vocabulary. So all of these tools can be utilized in the classroom. And what an instructor can really do with some of these AI generated tools, they can make a list of the ones that they require in class to be used and the ones that they would prefer not to be used. Because we all know that our students will be using some type of AI generated tool to help them in the classroom. So we can have an approved list. You can have ones that you actually utilize for them to use, incorporate in a lesson or an assignment. So here throughout this presentation, you will have a vast variety to choose from for any of the writing skills that you use in your writing classes. Plagiarism detection tools are very useful as well, because with AI, we know that there are programs like ChatGPT-4 that could generate a whole entire paper for you. So having these tools to check these aspects of the usage of AI is also really important. Turnitin is one, and it is a widely used plagiarism detection tool, especially at the college level. It helps to check papers that are submitted against a massive database of academic content, websites, and student papers to identify potential matches. So to make sure that it is not matching with something, or it even could detect if something in GPT-4 was written. So that's the key about Turnitin. Also, Grammarly plagiarism is another one. Grammarly offers a plagiarism checker as part of its premium service. So this one is one that you might have to have a subscription to, but Turnitin is another, it's one of the ones that you can have that you can go ahead and submit your papers in and check without having to have some type of subscription. So also be mindful when you're checking some of these resources. Some of them require subscriptions, some of them don't. The majority don't, but just making sure that when you are exploring which ones to use, that they're ones that you don't need to necessarily have to pay money for. feedback and analyst tools that are useful to instructors when we're talking about using that AI, artificial intelligence in the classroom. So when we think about that, we're thinking about tools that provide instant feedback to students. And the ones that are really interesting to do that would be SlickWrite and Readability would be two that I would recommend. SlickWrite is a free online tool that analyzes your writing for grammar and styling issues. It provides real-time feedback and offers features like sentence structure analysis. So this is really good for your students to kind of utilize during the writing process before they do their final draft writing, before they turn in their papers. This is something that could be incorporated in that phase. There are others like Language Tool, which is another one, and also WriteSonic. These are all excellent tools to provide student feedback for them to promote that independent learning process so that they can then utilize that to finalize their final drafts in writing. Next is something more instructor-based, which is the automatic grading tools that are generated by AI. This definitely has improved how instructors grade. It is also automated grading. Also, it helps instructors with grading more efficiently and provides instant feedback for students to which students require in order to redraft or rewrite. And it really frees up that time. The ones here that are really useful for providing instant feedback would be, for example, SpeedGrade, which is definitely, if you have Canvas, an LMS system, that is already in there and that can allow that instant feedback right away. GradeMark by TuneIn, there's another one that will provide instant feedback. These are all resources that the instructor can use to have that instant feedback. And some of them would allow you to build in the rubrics, build in everything. So once the paper is submitted, it kind of instantaneously provides that feedback right away. And then that allows teachers or instructors to have that even personal one-on-one conferences about students' writings, because based on that automated grading system, it frees up that time to allow for that. So now we have some personalized learning paths that are recommended by AI. Here, we like to think that we are fostering lifelong learners in our classroom and building those characteristics in our students. So personalized learning paths by AI are helpful. So here we have some that are useful, like Track Your Progress. This will allow students to track their progress in writing. They can work on outside of the classroom and utilize these personalized learning paths outside of the classroom, and also could be aligned into assignments, like set clear writing goals. That can also be helpful to allow students to set their writing goals ahead of time and pace themselves. Adapt and evolve is another one that would allow students to create personalized ways of achieving their writing goals as well. AI provided practice exercises. These are some examples that are useful for students to use just for practice, or could be assigned as additional assignments for students in the classroom. These resources are helpful for students, especially Hemingway and ProWriting Aid. Those are also very useful tools that allow students to practice their writing skills in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And for example, ProWriting Aid offers a variety of writing reports and suggestions to help students identify incorrect grammar styles, readability again, issues with any writing, and they can practice writing in web editor as well. AI has been very helpful when it comes to language translation and assistance. So it kind of like knocked Google Translation out of the water right now. AI has really done right now. I know that we are so used to using Google Translate, but we have a lot more translation tools since the launch of AI and artificial intelligence. And it's an excellent tool for resources for students to utilize when they need in their writing process in that translation. So I'll highlight two actually resources like DeepL, which is known for high quality translation services and supports multiple languages. Again, that's key. It offers translation suggestions that can help write content in different languages and more efficiently and effectively. Also, one would be Reverso, which is also a comprehensive translation and language assistant tool that provides translation definitions and examples in context. So that's the other thing. It provides the examples in context. So we know that in English, a lot of times words change meaning in context. So here, that particular tool allows students to see that. So yes, AI has made translation resources even more effective and has really grown in advance in that area. AI and accessibility features. Artificial intelligence have made it even more so useful to increase the accessibility to content and curriculum with unique features that align with Universal Design for Learning, which is basically making learning accessible to all students. So there are ones that I would highlight here that kind of stood out is the speech to text, STT, which is very useful for students that have processing disorders and they just need to go ahead and they can speak and the text writes or text to speech. Those two are very well used with students to help students with their writing process and to visualize the writing process, to see the writing process take place right visually on the screen itself. So again, AI has made a lot of accessible features available to students who struggle. So you have students who might have like dyslexia or any other learning disability, they are able to still write effectively using these AI accessibility tools. Also, there are content evaluation tools that are helpful to instructors and content creators to ensure things like academic rigor and content standards of instruction. Here, this allows instructors to upload a lesson, check for the rigor, make sure the rigor is okay, make sure it's aligning with certain content standards, so it's making instruction more effective. Here are some examples of some of those AI tools that actually assist us. Pro Writing Aid is one of those, and it's also a comprehensive writing assistant that checks for not just grammar, but it also provides detailed reports and suggestions to enhance writing. So for example, if there's a writing prompt that you want to use, you can upload it there and it will actually evaluate it for you and tell you whether it's really effective or not. So these are nice writing tools that can be used by the instructor to aid in an instruction. Also, there are time management tools that are helpful, that are also AI generated to help students best manage their time, especially if they have papers to write and they need to stay on task or stay focused. So here are the list of a few of those that are very useful for students. Time Camp is one, Rescue Time is another. All these are like AI generated apps and tools that students could use to help promote their learning and be successful with their learning process. Revision assistant tools are listed here. So of course, you know, as part of the writing process, we must do revision. And some of the revision tools that are listed here are unique for students to also use to help give them that feedback on their final drafts of their writing and their papers. So here we have Ref and Write, Q-Text. These are all available online that students could use to assist in their writing process and revision. Next, a couple slides will kind of show you some examples of what AI can do, especially these last 5 slides. We'll show you that how like ChatGPT-4 can be used by instructors to generate writing prompts and discussion questions, words, phrases, and vocabulary that can be useful to students during the writing instruction. So here's an example of a prompt that was created. The question was, create 15 prompts on technology in the future of higher ed writing in class. So this was put into ChatGPT-4, and this is what is generated. So what you see here is happening is the way teachers, instructors plan. Now AI tools are helping instructors to plan more effectively. So here you have examples of some writing prompts that was generated using ChatGPT-4. So not just students can use this, instructors can as well when they're lesson planning. Here are some 5 discussion questions. This was also put into the ChatGPT-4 and asked to create 5 discussion questions on how technology can help me write. So here were the results there. For example, you could take a look at the 3 different prompts on the screen. This was generated using ChatGPT-4. So again, instructors can use this to utilize their instruction to be more effective and also help with lesson planning and be more creative. Another example was, give me 15 words related to technology, and here you are. So 15 words related to technology. Here's boosting vocabulary again. Students can utilize this and use these different vocabulary words. For example, you can turn this into a lesson, a writing lesson, and say, here, utilize these 15 words in a paragraph. Utilize these 15 in a short essay about technology. Different ways that you can utilize and help students with practice with their writing. Here's one more. Create a list of 10 advanced vocabulary words on technology. And this is what ChatGPT-4 generated. Things like bioprinting, all this. So again, building vocabulary and improving their writing skills. And then last but not least, write 5 sentences at advanced level related to technology. And here's what was generated from there. ChatGPT-4 can be something that is very useful, just not to the students, but also to the instructor. Any of these AI tools or resources that was mentioned in this presentation could be utilized by both teachers, instructors, and you'd be very effective tools in the classroom. So in the sense, if we already know our students are using these, let's use it in the classroom and use it in a way that it benefits them, that they're not having to use them in ineffective ways outside of the classroom. Thank you for listening to our presentation today. If you have any questions about our presentation, please do not hesitate to reach out to Carmen Medina at carmen.medinasa@gmail.com or myself, Rosalind, at rbilly@tnstate.edu. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have about using ChatGPT-4 or any of the AI tools mentioned in this presentation. Thank you again for listening and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for listening. I feel enriched with so many different tools of AI that have a lot of features within them. MashaAllah, that was a beautiful presentation to me. For questions, please reach out to Dr. Rosalind Billy and Carmen Medina via their emails. I will post their emails are already posted in the chat box. Just give me a minute and then I will present my next speaker for today. Our next speaker is Dr. Ahlam Osman. Dr. Ahlam Osman is an acting head of Department of English Language and Literature at the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, British University in Egypt. She has a PhD in English Literature from Al-Azhar University and 2 MA degrees, one in English Literature from Al-Azhar University and the other in TEFL, or teaching English as a foreign language from the AUC, or the American University of Cairo. In addition, Dr. Uthman has registered for another PhD in comparative poetic. Dr. Uthman's research interests are in comparative literature, literary translation, and comparative poetic. She is a reviewer for the National Center for Translation Scopus indexed journals, as well as the number of international conferences. Dr. Uthman is a member of the Egyptian Writers Union, a board member of the Egyptian Society of Comparative Literature, chair of the Egyptian Circle of Comparative Poetics and Genre Studies, and the editorial board member of Muqaranat, an annual journal. The title of Dr. Ahlam's presentation is AI-Powered Academic Writing, Enhancing Productivity and Preserving Academic Integrity. Dr. Ahlam, we are eager to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Rowan. Thank you, everyone, for organizing such an enriching forum and for your efforts. And can I share my presentation now? It's not allowing me to share my PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, please try.
It says I'm not allowed.
Okay.
No, you're allowed to do Dr. Ahlam. Can you please try again?
Yes, I'm trying, and it says you're not allowed to share your screen.
Okay. Let me try to share it from my end.
But I will be sharing other links too. It's not only the PowerPoint.
I'm not sure what's the problem.
Can you use the chat box? Dr.
sorry.
Ahlam, can you use the chat box for the other links if I share it from my side?
It's okay, fine.
Okay, let's try that. Okay, can everybody see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Ahlam, please use the chat box for any further links. Thank you.
Okay.
You may begin.
Thank you.
Ahlam. Thank you.
Would you play the button at the bottom of the screen? No.
I can't see any button.
Let me see if I can share it now.
Do you want me to stop sharing so that you try again?
Can I?
Yes, please. I will stop sharing. Please try.
No, it's not allowing me. All right, fine. Please share it again.
Yes, I will do that.
So to set the context for today's presentation, actually I was going to present how AI tools can be used by both learners and educators of academic writing. And that was exactly the content of the original PowerPoint presentation. So for educators, I was going to show you how to use AI tools to design syllabi, to plan lessons, to create differentiated materials for different learners with special needs, and to create activities, interactive activities, to develop rubrics, and to design, would you go? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry. I
and
was checking if it's the right presentation. I apologize.
no problem. And to design assessments and evaluate writing, and even to provide feedback. And I was going to share with you some tools that I have already used to do these tasks. For example, Schemely.ai. Schemely.ai allows you to create lesson plans. It's designed especially for that purpose, to help educators plan their lessons. With regards to creating differentiated materials, again, many AI tools can help you with that. To create interactive activities, again, Schemely.ai allows you to create Kahoot activities and other interactive ones. And it even suggests YouTube videos, which you can use to enrich the learning experience of your students. With regards to designing assessments, both Poe and ChatGPT can help you design assessments and even writing prompts that are interesting and innovative. With regards to evaluating writing, again, there are many tools that help you check the errors, and you can even use Grammarly and other revision tools to evaluate the writing of your students, to highlight the mistakes and save a lot of time and effort. On the part of learners, again, I was going to share many tools that help learners brainstorm ideas, create outlines, research topics, generate content, improve style, edit writing, citing and referencing sources, and avoiding plagiarism. And many such tools are actually available for free, like Quillbot and Pop AI. Pop AI allows students to summarize articles and to create their own outlines very quickly and very simply. But then we had, sorry?
Please tell me when to move to the next slide.
Okay.
Thank you.
But then we had a very interesting workshop organized by DAD, and the presenter, Dr. Yasmin Youssef, actually introduced us to many, many tools, and her session was quite eye-opening. And I decided after the attending the workshop to change my perspective altogether, and to change the content of today's presentation, and to start from where Dr. Yasmin left. So next slide, please. So today, we are going actually to focus on thought-provoking issues. What is post-plagiarism in the age of AI? Post-plagiarism refers to an era in human society in which advanced technologies, including artificial intelligence and neurotechnology, including brain-computer interfaces, are a normal part of life, including how we teach, learn, and interact daily. And this is actually taken from an academic article. Next slide, please. An academic article named Plagiarism in Higher Education. So the article is actually thought-provoking. It discusses the idea of what is considered plagiarism in this era, and how can we define plagiarism given the plethora of AI tools that we already have. So today I'm going to discuss with you a few points to highlight our responsibility as educators and as facilitators of learning and as guides to our learners. Next slide, please. The first point that I'm highlighting today is hybridity. As AI tools become increasingly sophisticated, the probability of accurately detecting whether the text was written by a human or an artificial intelligence diminishes. And we can all attest to that. We can never detect plagiarism in this era. There will always be some assistance from one AI tool or another, even if it were not direct quotes or copying and pasting from research articles. To summarize, the problem of plagiarism shouldn't trouble us as educators, as advancing knowledge and guiding students to be creative people and to be critical thinkers. Next slide, please. So the important point that we want to stress in our education is creativity. We need to enhance students' creativity. And if we look at the past, we will find that past generations have always worried about technology. They believed that smartphones would diminish their ability to think. They believed, for example, that the calculator will replace human mind. However, this didn't happen because there are complexities and nuances to human intelligence, creativity, and relationships that may never be captured by artificial intelligence. So if we think of Bloom's taxonomy, we will find that AI can do the lower order thinking skills, but the higher order thinking skills of evaluation, creativity, and critical thinking, these are skills that cannot be replaced by any machine. So next slide, please. The beauty of AI tools is that, or the advantage of using AI tools is to ensure inclusion. We can ensure inclusive education given the plethora of AI tools that can translate knowledge, can translate articles from one language to another, that can simplify and explain a lot of articles, a lot of books to students, that can summarize and paraphrase language that is hard to understand by our learners. So instead of fearing that AI tools will replace humans, let's embrace AI. Let's try to use it for the benefit of humanity, for the benefit of our educators. And the best way, in my opinion, to do that is to stress creativity and to be creative ourselves in designing assignments and activities, instead of policing students and trying to detect plagiarism. So by inclusive education, I mean that language barrier is no longer valid in the age of AI. There are no language barriers. Anyone can have access to knowledge regardless of their background, regardless of their language. And this is a hit. This is a very good situation in the age of AI. Next slide, please. Now, with regards to citation and referencing, now instead of emphasizing the idea of citation and referencing, in the age of AI, attribution is what counts. And by attribution, I mean recognition that I have taken something from another source, be it an AI tool or a human source or whatever. At the beginning of my presentation, although you didn't know about this workshop that I attended, I recognized that I benefited a lot from that workshop. And this is a kind of attribution. And at the end of every slide, you will see again the reference to where I got this information from. You will see actually that some AI generated images are actually cited and they are recognized at the end of the presentation. So for example, the very first slide, it was a kind of video. It was playing some, I wanted very much to show you how it works. And this is AI generated. These images in today's presentation are generated by AI. So you can see that AI can help us as educators and as learners. The important thing is to recognize the source. And this is not only to show integrity, to prove our academic integrity, but also as a reference for other learners to pursue the same path of learning, to learn more and to go back to these sources and try them out themselves. Next slide, please. Ms. Rawan, next slide, please. Hello? So we come to the point of accountability. We are accountable much as our learners are. Learners are accountable for fact-checking, for verifying the sources. And educators are also responsible to develop assessments that provide students with opportunities to demonstrate their learning. Assessments that AI tools cannot assist with, or assessments that require creativity and critical thinking. Next slide, please. So some of the ideas that I actually came up with the assistance of AI are designing original assessments like reports on real life scenarios. If you do that, there is no way that students would plagiarize or would use AI tools solely for writing the assignment. Analysis of case studies, e-portfolios that show students' progress from one stage to another and that guide students throughout the whole process. Reflective journals that emphasize self-exploration and self-learning. Response papers to a certain event, and policy briefs. These are some ideas for designing original assessments that AI tools cannot assist with. With regards to written assignments, next slide, please. For written assignments, try to write innovative writing prompts, and actually AI tools can help you with that. Experiential written assignments. Again, let students interview someone and write a reflection paper or a report on that interview. Writing self-exploration. You need to encourage your learners to write for self-exploration because writing is a process of self-discovery. So in a nutshell, we come to here to the end of today's presentation, and I wanted just to discuss these ideas with you. What I can say is we need to embrace AI instead of being afraid of it, and we need to use it ourselves in the education process to help us with teaching academic writing from the stage of designing syllabi to the stage of providing feedback and assessing students. And we should also guide students as to how to use AI tools. For example, I guide my MA thesis students to use PopEye and other tools to summarize articles or chapters for them to decide if these chapters are relevant to their research or not. This is a very useful tool, by the way. Instead of wasting time reading irrelevant material, AI tools can help us decide whether this material is relevant to my area of research or not. And again, to improve the style, there is no problem using an AI tool to improve one's style. For example, I was once creating a post on social media, and I didn't know much about the marketing, you see, the marketing field and what kind of keywords would be interesting to users of social media. And AI tools could help me with that instantly. So why don't we use AI tools ourselves, and why don't we encourage our students to use them professionally and with while preserving academic integrity? Thank you so much for listening, and I would have loved to have a discussion with you. And if you have any questions, you can just ask and interact.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahlam. Let me see if there are any questions in the chat box. I like this presentation very much. Actually, it relieved me after seeing many of my students using the AI tools in their writing. Let me see, like Ms. Noura Salem is saying, I like the perspective you brought to this presentation. It is distinct, objective, and constructive. Any questions? No. Actually, I'd like to ask, thank you very much, Dr. Ahlam. I'd like to ask you about the different other kinds of assignments that you provided. If you can elaborate on that, other than just writing essays and providing portfolios that we can ask our students actually to produce without us considering them plagiarizers.
Yeah, the assignment needs to be...
Yes, please.
The assignment needs to be real life like. It needs to be experiential, in the sense of you should let students interview someone in real life and write a report on that. Or you should ask students, for example, to see the impact of climate change on a certain class or certain people like Bedouins in Siwa, for example. So no AI tool can do that, I assure you. They have to do the research themselves. They have to come up with answers. They have to use their problem solving and critical thinking skills. So we need to understand that AI tools are just assisting tools. They are not going to do the job. And we need to verify the information that we get from AI tools again, because a lot of information is fabricated, as many distinguished speakers have mentioned. So we need to check the information that we get. We need to teach our learners that they have to be critical thinkers. They have to verify every piece of information they get from AI or from any other source. In this open world, anybody can say anything and anybody can post any even academic article. So they need to think for themselves and not to take anything at its face value, but to question everything, to doubt everything. And for example, this semester, I actually teach 2 modules related to CAT tools and technology, using machine translation tools and CAT tools in translation. And one of the assignments that I designed for my students is to use machine translation to translate a document or a video. It was for 1 year, it was Disney movies, to translate Disney movies into colloquial Egyptian Arabic. And they found that AI tools cannot help with that. They can translate into standard Arabic, but they cannot translate into colloquial Egyptian Arabic, simply because they are not trained on this kind of input. And this is an area that we need to work on as Arab linguists. There is a huge deficiency when it comes to Arabic corpora. We need to develop our Arabic corpora, and this is one of the projects that I have in mind. So after using the machine translation tool to translate the video, I let students refer to the Arabic version of these Disney movies, the ones that are already they already watch, and they found a lot of discrepancy between the machine translation and the Arabic video. By using error typology and by assessing the output of machine translation, they understood that it's not a magic wand, that it can make mistakes, because simply it doesn't have this information. It doesn't have this kind of input. It's not trained on this kind of language or dialect. So we need to let our students or learners try it out for themselves and discover what kind of drawbacks AI tools have, and to verify the information they get from AI tools. This is the best way or the best approach to deal with AI, in my opinion.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahlam. I guess it's going to be the AI developers' next project is going to be working on Arabic dialects. Actually, there are so many. The Arabic language is really rich in dialects. There's a question by Mr. Hassan Al-Tawili here. Wouldn't using AI tools as plagiarism detector risk the originality of the research paper because it is already uploaded on an AI platform? Do you think?
Up till now, there is no way of detecting AI-generated submissions or writings, because actually there are many AI tools. And I was going, if I could share my screen with you, I was going to refer you to an AI library. This AI library contains actually thousands. I would provide the link in the chat box. This library actually has thousands of open AI tools. So you cannot guarantee which AI tool the student would use. And as I told you, there are many kinds of AI tools, from paraphrasing to editing and proofreading, to summarizing, to generating content. So the best way of detecting plagiarism, in my opinion, is to know the level of the student and to understand that what kind of language is can be generated by such a student. And then instead of policing him or her, to guide them and to tell them that you can put or set the rules first. In the very first day, set the rules for your class. Tell them you can use AI tools to summarize material, but you cannot copy, paste the content you get from AI tools and submit. So if you set your rules and if you guide them on how to use AI tools, that would be very beneficial.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahlam, for this beautiful presentation. It was really informative and really rich. We will take a 30-minute break right now, and we will see you at 12:30. Thank you very much for everybody who was here with us today. Thank you.